So we're going to move along and just say welcome. I am hopeful that everyone who is new to the project now has an asterisk by their name. If you do not, you can raise your virtual hand and Susan will place an asterisk by your name. And the other thing that might be interesting is just to kind of get a sense of the different countries that we have represented. I'm Michael, your facilitator. I am located in California, USA, in a sleepy little town called Altadena. And my co-facilitator, a very special co-facilitator, I might say, is Rhonda. And Rhonda, where are you located?
I'm located in Redding, California.
Redding, California. And our amazing trio coordinator handling all the tech stuff. She slices, she dices, does everything. Susan, where are you located?
I'm located in a little town called Hanford, California.
Hanford, California, up in horse country.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm going to make up that we have some international attendees. I know Maji says that she is in Paris.
Yeah, I'm in Paris, but I'm from Ethiopia, so I'm like two continents.
Two continents. There you go. All right, by locating. Do we have any other international guests with us today? Defta?
Yes, I was born in France, and right now I live in Baja California, Mexico.
Ah, very good. Okay, so Mexico's represented here. Hmm. Any other international representation? Not yet, not yet. Well, we do have folks enrolled. We also have some co-founders from livingcities.earth who are on their way. And also in the room, just joining us is Forrest Lightberg. He is the brand spanking new executive director for the Freedom to Choose project. Let's give Forrest some love.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
We're so glad to have you with us, Forrest.
Thank you, Michael. It's a privilege.
Indeed. So introductions are in order. All right. I'm going to be your co-facilitator today. I am a board member and also a volunteer since 2009 with the Freedom to Choose project. Also, I am a co-founder for livingcities.earth. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. livingcities.earth is a global research, education, and action ecosystem. It's headquartered in Switzerland, creating impact in 100 countries on the planet. LCE is co-led by 84 co-founders now from 5 continents who unite to co-create a better future, to support evolution of humanity, make a positive impact on the lives of people in 10,000 cities. We have a co-founder in the room. Maji is also a co-founder of livingcities.earth. And we have, Eric Koner, another co-founder. If you could just wave, identify yourself. And I am certain that we have a couple of other co-founders. Lev is going to join us in just a moment. And now Freedom to Choose, we're going to give you a little background information on that as well. But first, I want to do this introduction to my co-founder. So Rhonda is very special. I met Rhonda in 2009 while doing a Freedom to Choose project. And Rhonda wrote the letter, the very courageous letter, I would say, that started this whole thing. We've been in existence for almost 20 years, 19 years now, and it's all because of a letter that Rhonda wrote that started this whole thing. So talk about leadership, that's what we're up to. Rhonda, could you, just by way of introduction, tell us the story about what happened? What made you write that letter?
Sure, Michael. I actually was sentenced to prison in 1995 with a life plus 36-year sentence, and I was 26 years old. And when I got to prison, I realized there was not very much help. There was 2 self-help classes that were like AA and NA. And I felt like there should be more. And I started reading books about self-esteem, and I really didn't know what it was or what it all meant. So through just doing some research and finding out who teaches people how to change, who teaches them how to get better and do something different with their life, I started reaching, excuse me, I started reaching out to the community and writing letters and asking for help and support. At that time, there were, I'm pretty sure it was around about 2,000 women incarcerated at Valley State Prison when I wrote that letter. And I wrote it on behalf of all of us, that we could get the help that we needed. And I honestly, I didn't ever expect anything to happen. I thought maybe we would get some books or pamphlets or something, and we could like teach ourselves and develop something. And out of that came this amazing program.
Wow. And I understand at that first event, there were about 25 Freedom to Choose volunteers who came into Valley State.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first event was scary. Like all of us that attended, we weren't used to people showing up for us, because the majority of women in prison, they don't get visits. People don't communicate very well with the outside world. We're kind of closed off. We kind of have our own little group and we show up for each other. But this was the first time that many of us had experienced people from the outside showing up and saying that we were worthy and valuable.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Well, I was honored to attend my first session in 2009. That was about 5 years later. And as you know, I was scared. I was like, I've never been to maximum security prison before. And, so many of the women looked mad, and I was like, what if something happens in here? Right. And dear Maureen, she came up to me. She said, this your first time here? I said, yeah. She said, don't worry, ain't nothing going to happen. And it was a wonderful session. I mean, that event changed my life. And I keep coming back. That's what's kept me coming back for so long. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how Freedom to Choose got founded, also the principles behind it. We want to do a little logistics here to let you know that we're going to mute you. If you want to show your appreciation during any part of the event, please do so by selecting the clap icon, or you can just do a silent clap or a heart. That's fine. So we're going to move now also to talk about Peace Week. Rhonda, you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Sorry. Just need a minute.
Take your time. Take your time.
So we're in the process of celebrating Peace Week, which celebrates the International Day of Peace on September 21st. And we're excited to have you joining us for this Happy Cities Marathon, organized by Living Cities, Earth and Partners. I'm honored to be doing this with a co-founder of Living Cities, as well as Earth Board member. I think I have the wrong script, Michael. I'm sorry.
You got it. It's the right one.
Did it for Freedom to Choose.
Absolutely. And of course, we're making history today because Freedom to Choose is 19 years old. And we believe that true, endearing, and self-replicating change starts as an inside-out process. When we activate at the level of our individual human consciousness, we see inner transformation happens, and it creates outer change naturally. We've seen this happen inside of California prisons, and we understand that the possibility is for this to scale to the world at large. So today we're going to experience the work that Freedom to Choose has taken into 33 California prisons. And we'll see how it can positively impact the mission of livingcities.earth to create 10,000 vibrant cities filled with flourishing human beings. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds great.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
We would like to start this process by doing something that we call centering. And we want to be respectful to everybody's belief systems. So the way that we do this is we ask for spirit, God, or our higher power to assist us. And we do this just inside of ourselves in whichever way works for you. And maybe that means you're connecting with a part of yourself that is just your wise self, or tap into your beliefs. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good to me. So everyone, if you would just join with me, if you're comfortable, you may close your eyelids as we just draw in a deep centering and cleansing breath together. We just breathe in and we let go of everything that came before this moment. We breathe in a breath of gratitude, a simple blessing of gratitude and willingness. Grateful for everyone who's participating today. We send a blessing of gratitude to those who might be on their way, and to those who are with us in spirit only, knowing that all are in their right and proper place. We're just grateful for all that transpires today. We name it good and very good as we just call in these blessings of wisdom, light, love, and gratitude. And for this, more than words could say, we are grateful. And so it is.
So it is.
And so now let's review our guidelines.
So take care of yourself so you can help take care of others.
Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others.
Use everything for your growth, upliftment, and learning.
And the most important one, have
fun.
fun. There we go.
Confidentiality. We want to keep what stays in this room. And when you're in your trio, what is said in your trio stays in your trio.
Please keep your camera on so that folks can see your smiling face and get a sense of your loving presence in the room.
And everyone is muted and cannot unmute themselves at this time. If you have any questions, please be sure to type them in the chat. And to everyone, as we have more than one person monitoring the chat.
Awesome. We will be recording the evening and live streaming simultaneously on YouTube, but the trios are going to be confidential, so those won't be on YouTube. And most importantly, have fun. There you go. So let's get this show started. We're coming up to the time when we're ready to go into trio. But first, we got a special treat to start us off today. I want to talk to one of our alumni. Alumni are Freedom to Choose volunteers, participants that we met on the inside who are now outside. And we want to talk to them about their experience with celebrating diversity. So one of the alumni that we have with us in the room, I also met in 2009 at Valley State Prison for Women, which at the time I believe was one of the largest maximum security prisons for women on the planet, right, Rhonda?
Yes.
Yeah. But I met this alumni in 2009, and she is right now at work taking her little one to school. It's Mianta McKnight in the house. Hey, Mianta. Can you share with us about your experience with celebrating diversity and leadership through Freedom to Choose?
Oh, it's been an amazing process. My name is Mianta McKnight, and I was in there with Rhonda. And so I got arrested in 95 too. I was 17 years old when I got arrested. I was tried as an adult and grew up in the Department of Corrections. And so something that I learned that I use out here now in my daily life and with my children, it helps me to be a totally different mother, being able to come from a place of love and realizing what areas I needed to heal within myself in order to be able to not pass those generational traumas on to my children. But I met Michael as well. And I sat in a trio with him and I was like, man, to have somebody come here and express themselves openly and not have it be where we're in an environment where you have to wear a lot of masks. You can't show emotion and things like that. So to see a man show emotion was touching for me, because I was like, wow, I can show emotion. This is a safe space. So every time Freedom to Choose came, I was there. And it gave me the tool set that I needed, the skill set that I needed in order to be able to not only survive in there, but it's been a very valuable transferable skill in coming out here and being able to access things that I wouldn't have been able to access before, as a result of knowing who I am and knowing how to communicate effectively and how to listen from a heart-centered place versus being reactive. And so I do use the things that I've learned in Freedom to Choose every day. I know you hear my son in the back. Every day. Yes, baby. You want a
That's
bin
great.
bin cracker? Okay. So I'll give you one second, okay? And so being able to do that with both my children. I have a 7-year-old and my son will be 3 next month, and I'll be 45 next month. And like knowing that I've modeled it for them to see what that looks like, as well as my other family members. So being able to come home and model that, and for them to actually want to embrace it as well, I think is something that is a valuable gift that I was able to give them, that came from a very dark place. And it made me who I am. I'm not going to say prison saved me, because it didn't. It made me a better criminal for sure. But I can transmute that energy instead, and be a better person, and make my vibration and my energy be higher. And so when I'm coming into contact with people, they can feel that. And I can deflect the energy that is not my own, and allow myself to be able to be comfortable in my own skin, and articulate myself in a way that honors my higher self, and as well as honors who I am and my journey. So thank you.
Powerful testimony. Thank you, Mianta. I just get so excited every time I hear your little one say "mommy." Like my eyes start leaking. So
I love
proud.
my kids so much.
And we love you too. So glad you could join us today. So everyone, freedom to choose is based on the work of Viktor Frankl, who also had an incarceration experience. And while he was interred in a Nazi concentration camp, which was designed to work you to death, he discovered that you could take everything away from a person except one thing. Rhonda, could you read the quote from Viktor Frankl?
Sure. Um, I'm sorry, Michael, I don't have the quote.
Oh, I got it. Everything. Okay. You got it? You see it?
No.
Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And the one that I really like is the one where he says that in between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our freedom, our ability to choose what we're going to do next. And you know, that's a very powerful skill to have in being incarcerated and also on the outside as a leader. So we've got a handout for our skill set today. On Earth Day, we did the skill called respectful communication. And we're now going to graduate. We're taking you to the next level. And the skill that we're going to look at today is called celebrating diversity. Susan has just placed a link in the chat. And if you access that link, it will open up the handout. And Rhonda and I are going to read that handout, and then we're going to do a demonstration of the trio process that you'll be doing when you're inside of your rooms. Now, if you're new to the process, don't worry, because you're going to be in the room with an experienced trio person, somebody who knows the process, either from University of Santa Monica or as a Freedom to Choose volunteer. So does everyone have access to the handout? It's in the chat. If you go to your chat, there's a link there. And if you open that link, you can click it and you can see the handout as we read it. So Rhonda, do you have your handout?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. All righty, so the skill is called Celebrating Diversity, and there's a quote at the top. Would you like to read that quote, Rhonda?
Strength lies in differences, not similarities.
And that's from Stephen Covey, which really talks about the valuing, honoring, and celebrating our differences. So as we move along the scale, I'm going to read it because when we read the handout, it accesses a different place in our brain. So I'm going to read the handout, and then when we get down to the Let's Practice section, Rhonda is going to be my facilitator, and she's going to read the questions for me so I can demonstrate the process for you. So as we move along the scale from intolerance to appreciation, it's helpful to use our awareness to discover even small judgments, because they can dissolve in our neutral observation before they grow into big judgments. It's also important to practice the skill of looking for the value in differences, because differences exist. They're everywhere. It's a fact of life. Diversity makes life interesting. You've heard the saying, variety is the spice of life. If every tree looked the same, if there was only one style of music, if everyone talked at us for hours in a monotone about things we already knew, life would be pretty boring. So how do we move from being stuck in our differences to celebrating our diversity? Rhonda, you want to talk about the acceptance scale?
Absolutely. So the acceptance scale, it's dismissal, avoidance, tolerance, curiosity, acceptance, appreciation. At any point on the progression, awareness is the key to choosing up.
Okay, keys for respectful communication. So we'll alternate as we read this section. So first, listen carefully to what your partner is saying, not just the words, but the emotions and the meaning underneath. A lot of communication is expressed in body language, voice tone, and volume.
Share with your partner what you understood they said. For example, I heard you say, did I understand what you mean? An attitude of openness is important.
And this is a part of the respectful communication skill. If your understanding was accurate, then ask your partner to continue.
If what you understood was not accurate, ask your partner to say it again, perhaps in a different way.
Sometimes people are shy when first sharing from their heart. So let them know also that you are with them, that you understand and care about what they're saying. You can also ask questions such as, that's interesting. Can you tell me more about that?
Note, if your partner talks without pausing, it's fine to ask them in a respectful way. Could you please pause for a minute? I really want to make sure I understand you.
And above all, avoid giving advice or trying to fix their problems. We know that every person has access to the wise part of themselves, and we want to encourage people to be able to access that. So let's practice. The facilitator, who's going to be Rhonda for our demo, will ask the questions, and the sharer, who's going to be me, will answer the questions. The neutral observer, which is all of you, listens quietly. And we like to say the neutral observer acronyms are NO, which means no talking, no advice, no comment. You'll get a chance to share when the trio positions change, and then you become the sharer or the facilitator.
Ask for the assistance of Spirit, God, your higher power, for the highest good.
While practicing the keys for respectful communication, invite your partner to answer the following questions. Okay, so Rhonda's going to be my facilitator, and she's going to demo for you.
Okay, Michael, would you like to set an intention for this process?
yes, my intention is to be open, to be honest, and to be available for the deepest level of healing and insight.
Beautiful intention. Michael, who is someone you label as different than you that bothers you?
That bothers me. So if I get honest, I have to say it's a certain politician who will go remain nameless. But it's somebody who's different from me, certainly, and kind of bothers me, I'll admit, if I'm honest.
So where do you think you are on the acceptance scale when you're thinking of this person?
Well, I would have to say avoidance. I would say avoidance. If anything comes in the news about this person, I tend to just shut it down. I just avoid it altogether.
Are you aware of any judgments that you have towards this person?
Am I? Yeah, I am aware of some judgments. Yeah. Do I have to say what they are?
You don't have to say what they are.
Yeah, I'm aware of my judgments. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah.
So if I hear what you're saying, the person that's different from you that's bothering you is a politician.
Yeah.
And you
Mhm.
have some judgments about this person who will remain
Yeah.
nameless, and
Mhm.
you're very aware of them. So
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you, just step outside your judgments for a minute and just neutrally observe about them from a place of non-judgment.
Hmm.
Then I'm just going to invite you to think about different ways you could look at this person, and maybe come up with 3 new ways.
Mhm. So, one observation is that this person is clear and direct. That's a
Mhm.
neutral observation. Um, Another neutral observation is that they have a way of getting things done. Neutral observation. Um, Another new way is that they are a clear example to me of how not to be, how I do not want to be. Yeah. And it makes me really more clear about my own values, you know? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
It's like a teacher, teaching me what my values are.
mhm.
Hmm.
So what value can you find in the difference that you observe from this person?
Well, I guess I jumped the gun, but that's one of them, clearly, that it reflects back to me, my own values. And
Okay.
also something that comes up that my sponsor used to say to me is that if you spot it, you got it. And it really makes me look at my own shadow, like to be willing to look at my own shadow. Can everyone please mute? To look at my own shadow and ask myself, what is this reflecting back to me about me?
Mhm.
Because I may not want to own it, but maybe there's something there that's triggering me, you know?
I hear you.
Yeah. Yep. That's the truth.
Where are you now on the acceptance scale when you think about this person?
Well, I would say that I'm at the curiosity level. I'm curious about what is it that really triggers me about this person, What is it really? And am I am I like seeing, projecting some of my own shadow onto this individual, I'm curious. I don't know, but it's been, it's been stirred. The pot's been stirred, and I'm willing to look a little more deeply into that.
Well, that's great awareness, Michael, and you're certainly choosing up.
Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate your support.
Thank you for sharing.
All right. Well done. Well done. So that's it. That's the process. So we're going to go into rooms and we're going to do an experience called trios, where there'll be 3 of us in a room. One person is going to be the sharer. The facilitator will just read the questions, and the sharer will answer the questions. The neutral observer will simply neutrally observe. Now, the trio timing for this is going to be 7 plus 3 plus 3. That means 7 minutes. There'll be a broadcast sent out saying there's 3 minutes remaining to finish reading the questions. Then at the end of that section, there'll be 3 more minutes for everybody to share their learnings. What did you learn about you from this process? That'll be 3 minutes at the end. So at the end of that, we'll rotate, we'll change positions. The neutral observer will now become the facilitator. The facilitator will become the sharer, and the sharer will move into the neutral observer position. There'll be an experienced trio person in the room with you, a volunteer who's familiar with this, so you'll be guided if you're new to the process. Don't worry, you won't be on your own with it. And if there are any questions, please just raise your hand and we'll get to those questions. Make sure that you're comfortable before you go into trio. Now, Susan is right now placing us into groups. I wanted to ask, does anybody have any questions about the process before we go into the room? Does everyone have their hand? Oh, hey, Marcia's with us. Hey, Marcia.
Hello.
Welcome. Marcia is also another longtime Freedom to Choose volunteer. So we've got all the experienced ones in the room. Luxie, is it Luxie Purity? Is that the name?
Yes, that's me.
How are you?
I have fine, thank you.
Good, good. Are you with Living Cities.Earth?
With the freedom to choose.
Oh, Freedom to Choose. Okay. Have you done a trio before?
Yes, I've attended one of the trainings before.
Oh, for Earth Day?
No, for the freedom to choose, they did a trio like this.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad you're able to join us.
Glad to be here. I'm excited to learn and to be part of the amazing community.
Indeed, indeed. And where are you calling in from?
I am in Los Angeles, Southern California.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's, yeah, way over there, right? I'm in
Yes.
California too, so just kidding.
Oh, okay.
So nice. All right. Are there any questions?
I have a,
And
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just need to, my power went out. I apologize. And I'm back in. I'm on my iPhone. So I just needed to clear about that.
okay.
That,
Cool.
yeah, we had a power outage. So
Okay.
anyway, I'm
Eric,
back.
one of my
I'm trying to
questions-
get back on my computer now because it's
Okay.
hard for me to read. It's hard for me to read the instructions, but
Oh, yes.
I'll do my best. Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's a question. Will you be staying? I have some folks that might be leaving and I don't want to put them in a trio with folks who are going to be staying. So I'm kind of bouncing some folks around.
Oh, Violetta, welcome. Violetta is another co-founder from Living Cities Earth. And have you done a trio process before with us? No?
With
Okay.
you, but something similar with some other groups. So I'm
Okay.
familiar with the process. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So, so you said you have some folks that might be leaving. So, Mianta and Eric, you could put together, right?
Um,
And Francine,
And-
did you say you were leaving too?
I'm gonna
Yes,
move.
I have to leave at 10.
Okay, so the thing is then I'm not gonna have, if I put, let's see, Francine, I got her and Eric together. Mianta,
Okay.
will you be leaving as well? You don't know, right?
I'm not really sure because I'm still sitting in the car, but I'm about to walk into the Berkeley Tech Academy to do some recruitment for both jobs. So I don't want to be distracted. So I probably think it'd be best if I did leave, but I don't want to inconvenience anybody.
Gonna
Say
move
hi.
into that room. So I have the three of you in a room together, so that way you can stay as long as you can. And if you have to drop off, you're all seasoned, so you know how to trio already. So let me take.
And Violetta, you say you have to leave at 19:10, which is what, 10:10?
20 minutes. I'm sorry because I just learned today about this event. So I made prior commitments,
Of
but
course. Well,
I'm great. I'm really thankful to be part and hear what you were saying. I mean, this is an amazing group. So thank you.
wonderful. Well, we're glad that you're here with us.
Okay, so this is what I am going to do. Violetta, I have you in with seasoned volunteers. So when you have to drop, she will continue as a duo, and I have another room that is a duo.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, so we've got a couple of you as a duo. That just means I don't have enough people to make it a trio. But you guys, just gives you a little bit more time, and you can do the process over if you choose
Share
to.
your learnings. There we
Share
go.
Yep.
And our motto is we are so flexible. And we find that that is very helpful to have when we're doing work inside of prisons. And it also works outside of prison.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So does everyone have, is it my turn, Michael? Sorry, I'm just chatting
Go ahead.
away.
Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Does everybody have the skill, the handout?
Handout?
In your process, I just put it in the, let me double check that I did that correctly.
I think Marcia came in afterwards, so.
Yeah, but I have her, let me put it back in there.
Okay,
Excuse me, can we will be finished in an hour and 15 minutes, right? Since in the beginning I said 2 hours and now it's 1 hour and 15 minutes from 2 hours. I was just wondering because I also was committed to something else, because I had said it in the beginning, we had said if we had 2 hours, it's fine. But now it's 1 hour and 15 minutes. Would it still work?
Yes,
if you're
go ahead.
Yeah.
Michael.
You're going to put her in the room with somebody else who is leaving? Maybe she and Violetta could be in the room. Who is Maji in the room with?
Maji's with Susan and Joan. Was that Maji who was just speaking? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm happy to be with Violetta because I think we're also committed to be on the Living City Earth. That's
the Peace Week. You going to the Peace Week event?
Yeah, and I committed to that before this, that I only got today as well. So
Okay, so you won't be here till 11 because we'll be done before 11, right? So
okay, no, I mean we have an hour. We don't have the same time, but we have another hour and 10 minutes. That's okay.
Yeah, we'll be done in 40 minutes. These trios take 40 minutes.
That's fine.
Right? 13 minutes for each one times 3. That's 39 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay, somebody's got a phone and a computer on. There we go.
I'm back on my computer. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. So, Rhonda, I'm curious, what was your first trio like?
Terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. So the one thing that happened to me early on was I lost my voice. So finding my voice and my ability to speak was really, really hard. And I thought the workshop, when they came in, I thought they were going to speak. I didn't think that I would have to speak. So when they said, we're going to move into trios and you're going to share, I was just terrified. And it was probably the most amazing thing that I ever did for myself, was speaking up and sharing about it, because that trio changed my life. And the person who was facilitating me taught me a really valuable lesson that day. And he taught me that that I had the power to choose responses under any circumstances, and the answers were within me, and I wouldn't find them from anybody else. It was through self-exploration that I would find them, and that changed the direction of my life, and that brought me here today.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that. And I noticed Brenda Romanoff just joined us.
Yeah, hold on. Yes, I'm here. Trying to get my video on here. I'm in the car. Here I am. Okay, I'm coming. Finally. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm in my car. I'm almost home. I had a hard time getting on because I was on the road.
Okay, okay. Have you trioed before, Brenda?
No, I just found out about last week about the freedom to choose. And a lady, I can't think of her name, gave me everything, and I signed up and everything. And so I don't even know really what you do.
Okay.
I know what
Okay.
to do. I know what I have to do to volunteer. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. Well, we'll put you in a room with some experienced volunteers so that they'll guide you through the process. And then will you be transferring to your computer when you get home?
Yes, because I might lose you. Yes, I'll try to transfer. And if something happens, I don't get connected with you, I'll just sign up for another thing if something happens, because I am on the road, and that's the bad thing.
Okay. How long do you think it'll be before you get to your computer?
Oh, depends on this traffic that I'm sitting in right now.
Okay. Okay.
All right. But I'll try.
Okay. We'll make it happen. All right. Thanks, Brenda.
We'll just start her neutral observer in a trio, and then she's in with Marcia. So if she doesn't make it back in, then we'll be flexible.
Okay, there we go. All
Thank
righty.
you.
Okay. Well, Susan, how's it looking?
It's looking pretty good. I do have one room with 3 folks that will maybe dropping or probably be dropping. So you guys just start, and you're all seasoned. So you make that your trio while you're in there.
Yeah, there you go. And whoever's got to go first, yeah.
Yep. Everyone else has at least one seasoned veteran volunteer, and I think we're ready to go. I did put my phone number. I'm going to put my phone number into the chat for everyone. If you need me for anything, please text me. Don't call, because I'll be in the middle. If you're driving, don't text. But
Right.
I can't download I can't get access to the Dropbox, so I can't download the instructions. I've tried and it won't give me access.
Click the chat. Click the chat. I'm downloading it right now. See if you can click the chat and open that. I just popped it in there.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You got it? Okay. If anybody else needs it too, it's in the chat. You can just grab it. Okay. All right. Let's get this show on the road. We'll be back here. Also the Neutral Observer, watch out for the broadcast, and then you can read that broadcast message and share it with your team. So when the facilitator and the sharer are in session, you can give them the timing instruction, which says, 3 minutes remaining. Now bring that to completion and share your learnings about yourself. Okay, so
they're in the middle of some work, and the 3-minute session or the 3-minute pops up, I just hold up 3 fingers. That way they can see me that I'm not interrupting their process. So
3 fingers. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Susan.
you're welcome.
Okay, everyone.
Are we ready?
Yep, you're going to see a little box that says join, and then you'll join your room, and then we'll see you back here for some large group sharing afterwards. Oh, a hand up, Stacy.
I'm so sorry, I might have spaced, but if we're an experienced person, are we supposed to share first?
Yes.
Or facilitate? Share.
Yes.
Got it.
Share.
Thank you.
And that's you, honey. You're in with two new folks. So you're our ferocious leader.
Yep. Take good care of them.
She will. She's amazing.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so
everyone,
away
we'll-
we go. Have fun. We'll see you back.
See you on the other side.
Have fun, you guys.
Enjoy. Yeah, so that was a perfect example of we are so flexible.
Let
We
me find
can
the
make this
broadcast.
thing
Okay.
happen. Indeed, indeed.
Okay, why can't I find my broadcast button? Am I
Yes, you're still on.
the let's see more. I don't have broadcast.
You're the host,
Am
right?
I the host?
Yeah, you should still be host. Yeah, you are host. Yes.
It is not showing me broadcast. Why is, oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong spot.
There we go. Yeah, I see it.
Been a minute since I've done this.
Okay. So may I turn off your video because Rhonda and I are going to go into trio.
Yes, you can, or I can.
Okay.
And I'm gonna mute myself.
Okie dokie. All right, now I'm going to turn and say hide non-video participants. There we go. And it's just you and I. All right, we're going to do trio.
Wonderful.
Okay. So I'm going to facilitate you since you demoed facilitating me. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
All right. Okay. All right. So everyone who's watching, this is how you do a freedom to choose trio. I'm the facilitator. Rhonda is the sharer. And you at home watching this on the live stream, you are the neutral observer. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can move my window so it's side by side. I guess it's okay. It'll work this way. All right. So while practicing the keys for respectful communication, oh, here we go. We got the message on the screen. It says, to everyone, please take a deep breath and connect with your heart. Set an intention for learning and healing. Ask for the assistance of Spirit, God, your higher power. When you're ready, please begin. Okay. So Rhonda, what's your intention for this process?
My intention for this process is to be brave and transparent and open.
My intention is to listen, to attune to you, and to guide you through the process. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll set my little timer here to keep us honest. That way I'll know what our timing is. Okay. So, who is someone that you label as different from you that bothers you?
In the past, I used to feel that I was different from, like, there was normal people and there was me. So sometimes I fall back into that feeling different from the rest of the world. So I think for me, it's feeling different from a lot of things.
Yeah. And does that bother you?
It does sometimes. Sometimes I feel like maybe I don't measure up to another person, or, you know, it feels like I'm different in some way. Like I struggle with things that maybe nobody else is struggling with.
So is this someone specific? Is there someone specific you could use for this example?
So maybe someone specific, like sometimes I look at my sister-in-law who does really, really well, and she has everything together. And I measure myself, I guess, up against her.
Yeah.
I love her and I absolutely do. But I measure myself.
Yeah. So does she bother you?
It's not really it's not that she bothers me. It's that I feel like sometimes she's so good at what she does that I feel insecure. So that bothers me. My own
Yeah,
insecurity is what bothers me. And
yeah,
then
yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah. So if we were looking at the acceptance scale, uh, from dismissal to avoidance to tolerance, curiosity, acceptance, and appreciation, where are you on the acceptance scale when you think of this person?
I'm at the avoidance stage because I know that I'll have to look at myself and where that is inside of me. And if I avoid it, I don't have to address it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Are you aware of any judgments that you have of this person?
I do. Like, I do have some judgments. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like she's bossy. Sometimes I feel like I'm being judged for not measuring up. Sometimes I feel like I'm put down because I can't find my voice as easy as she can. She always has quick comebacks. I don't.
Yeah, yeah. So, if you could step outside of your judgments, what can you neutrally observe about them from a place of non-judgment?
Well, from a place of non-judgment, she's amazingly successful and she's worked super hard and at overcoming adversity, at being the person that she is today. She is an absolutely amazing role model.
I'm just gonna intrude. I'm just gonna blurt it out. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is that if you spot it, you got it.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, what you see in her, you wouldn't recognize it if you didn't have it in you. I'm just gonna say that, okay?
Absolutely. And yes.
Mhm. And in two more ways that you could look at this person.
Well, I could look at it like, so she's been my role model as well. Her strength, I admire it. I have so much respect for her journey. And so that's how that's two more ways. Like I look at her and I see her as the amazing, strong, powerful woman that she is.
Great. So welcome, James. We're going to ask you to be our neutral observer. We're in a trio process right now, and then we're going to rotate and we'll include you in the process in a moment. Okay, welcome. Glad you could join us. Are you new to Freedom to Choose? Yes. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. All right. So, what value can you find in those differences that you observe?
Well, I find value when I do self-reflection because I know that the spot you got it. I know that when I'm judging myself harshly and I'm being really tough on myself, that I usually redirect it to another person. So the value is actually being able to step inside of myself and ask myself, why am I judging this other person? It's within me. So that just tells me that there's a place inside of me that needs to be encouraged, loved, and healed. And to free myself from self-judgments.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a powerful value. We just got the notice that the sharer has 3 minutes left, so we're doing good on time.
Wonderful.
So where are you now on the acceptance scale when you think of this person?
I'm at total acceptance.
Yeah, that's quite a shift, isn't it?
It is a shift.
hmm
I think sometimes it's easy to get stuck in a routine of like somebody's doing something and I'm upset because of them. But really the upset's inside of me.
Right. It's all happening inside of us, right?
Mhm.
But it seems like it's in that person. It's out there somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that. I love that idea. And I'm grateful to Freedom to Choose for, introducing that to me, reawakening me to it, Because somewhere there was a place inside of me that always knew that. I mean, it was very familiar, but I didn't know that I knew it.
I that was one of the biggest learnings for me because I didn't know that as well. I didn't know that it was within me to change how I thought about somebody else. I figured I blamed everybody else. So learning that helped me shift into a person that was accountable and responsible for my behaviors and my thoughts and my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And James, if you can access the chat, the handout, the skill sheet that we're doing, it's in the chat. So if you open up the chat, you see a document in there. If you open it up, you can see the skill that we're doing right now. It's called Celebrating Diversity. So now we have time to share our learnings. I mean, we're already ahead of the game. We're talking about sharing our learnings. But what came forward for me is, the power of realizing that not only can I project like my shadow on somebody, like in my example, I shared about a certain politician that triggers me, right? And I became aware that my shadow could be very much involved in this. Maybe this individual is reflecting back to me some things about myself that I don't like, And so that was an insight for me. But on the other side of the coin, there's the positive projection. There's people that I admire, that I look up to. I mean, Jack Canfield is one of them, like I love Jack. And I mean, what he's up to with creating leaders on the planet, to me, is just so huge, And I realize he's reflecting back to me what I'm up to about creating leaders on the planet. That's my purpose. That's what I'm up to. So yeah, I get it. If I spot it, I got it. On both sides of the coin, both positive and negative, Yeah. So that's a huge learning.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, some of my learning is like I I sometimes think that sometimes the closest people to us, you know, like some things come up, some upsets and hurts come up, especially
Mhm.
with family members. But it's so important to me to have these skills and be able to realize that it's not that person. Like deep down, like it could be the person that I admire most in the world, and then there'll be some upset. But today it
Mhm.
doesn't damage relationships. Today, my relationships are intact and healed because I know that the work needs to be done within me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an inside job. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's powerful. James, were you able to see the skill sheet? Okay. All right. Would you like to participate in the trio?
I could, but I'm not sure I don't know the exact details of how you're doing it.
So we're working in what's called trios now. And this is the work that we do in California prisons. We have 3 people. One person is the sharer, that was Rhonda. The other person's the facilitator, that was me. And all I did was read the questions on the handout. And on the second page, there's a part that says, let's practice. And so the facilitator just reads the questions, and then the sharer just answers the questions. And
Okay,
that's,
I didn't see the second page. I just saw the first page. So,
do you still have it open?
no, I closed it, but I can see.
Mm-hmm.
I have to open it again.
Yeah. And if you'd like to, be the sharer, maybe Rhonda could facilitate you.
Let's see. Chat. I open this again.
Okay. So we'll let you open that. And in the meantime, I want to ask Rhonda, though, about, because we were talking about the first time you trioed, right? And you mentioned about just like how terrifying it was, right? And so was this first workshop, this was in 2004, right? And there were 25 volunteers?
Yes,
Okay. And how many days was that workshop?
it was 2 days.
Oh, 2 days. Uh-huh. And do you remember the skills that they went through?
We learned respectful communication, or we learned all communication skills. I don't remember the exact skills from that workshop, but I do remember the trios. The
Yeah.
trios have that those first trios have stuck with me. I've never forgotten them.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Mhm.
the most powerful part for me was that the volunteers, that they volunteered their time and they paid at their own expense, and they came from all over and drove pretty far to come to a prison out in the middle of Central California and show up for us.
Mhm.
And I watched a complete stranger model these skills to me, and in such a kind, loving, non-judgmental way. That was the first time I had ever not felt judged in my whole life by myself or by other people. And coming from a really abusive background, everything else was kind of a blur except for those trios, because I believe that those people were the catalyst to excavating my voice.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I could really relate. 2009 for me was just life changing. And from the time I saw the documentary, they showed it in 2008, I think it was, the year before I graduated. And I was just, I was struck, I just knew that this work was for me, I just didn't know how healing it was going to be for me. I thought I was bringing some, and they say, you got to get to bring some, you got to get, it was, I got so much out of that first time. And it was just mind-boggling. And people ask me, so what did you do? And I opened my mouth and no sound came out. There was like no way to even say what you had experienced that weekend, because it was just that life-changing.
Definitely. I remember walking out of there and I kept saying, above all else, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt anybody else. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge others. That was the start of my mantra. Like from that moment on, that's when I started rebuilding the foundation of my life based on those principles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. So James, did you get a chance to see the second page?
Yes, I did see it.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like to try a trio process? See how it goes?
Well, you have to think of somebody that you have an issue with, I think, is the first thing.
Somebody
But
that's different than you, who bothers you.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I have. I don't know anybody who really bothers. I have to let you know that I have like 2-3 decades of Buddhist meditation training. So the techniques you're using here, I've done so much of that in my own practice. So
One.
I mean, yeah, it is to me, I see that ultimately we have to see the sacred in all beings, in ourselves and in all other beings. So I've practiced that my whole life to try to see that in people that I've vilified, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So to do that practice, so I don't really like even I mean, everyone is sacred, but my wife is a therapist, and we always talk about the abuser abuse cycle and how anger is the facade that hides and masquerades pain. So those people who are the worst abusers, the worst offenders, are the ones that are in the most pain. So I've always seen that when people and they're in Shaolin Temple Kung Fu. I don't know if you know this, but in Shaolin Temple Kung Fu, the whole origin story of that is that it was developed to refute harm that was coming your way. So to politely refute it, but not to hold aggression to those who would give you harm, but just to sidestep it, So
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the whole point is that I think the world is full of abusers who've been harmed. The harm is what creates those abusers, and that lack of self-love, and that so we just because the world just it's kind of like a positive feedback loop, when you have so many millions of parents who have been abused, and so they pass that pain, that ignorance on intergenerationally to the people that are close to them, and it just continues the cycle. So we just have to kind of accept this reality that we are in this environment where there's constant production of people who don't understand, and so will do harm to others, but because they don't know, they're sacred as well, but you have to protect yourself against those sacred beings who would do harm to you.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, and that's kind of what freedom to choose does.
That's what I perceived just looking at how you guys just catching what Rhonda was the tail end of what she said, and reading the documents that you had there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think all of us have in our lives have suffered from different forms of abuse at different times of our lives, and we kind of know that it can turn you bitter, it can turn you angry, you know. But the teachings are there in every spiritual tradition, like Christ said, turn the other cheek, And what's the teaching there? That the teaching there is that you can't break that cycle if somebody hits you and then you hit them back. That's just going to continue the cycle, right? So you have to return that with love. That's the whole kind of teaching, that if somebody hits you, you have that kind of awareness that, okay, I know that this is anger, but underneath that mask of anger is the pain, you know.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah,
that's the only way we can transform the other or transform ourselves, right?
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. And when you share that, I feel like it was really an act of compassion that inspired Rhonda to write that letter. Like you read about something in Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? Is that where you first heard about?
Um, that's a very common misconception. It was actually a book about people in the workplace. And
Oh,
Ron Holnick had an article in there. And I actually read about Ron Holnick and his idea of freedom and self-forgiveness. And he just discussed it in like a few little words, and it caught my attention. And I was carrying around a lot. I had grown up in an abusive home, extremely extreme poverty, extreme abuse, and I had a lack of education. I didn't spend very much time in school throughout my whole childhood. So the fact that he was with USM, and the fact that here was this very educated man talking about the things that touched my heart, that's why I reached out to him, because he checked all the boxes for me. And I felt like maybe he could understand me, because he was speaking the language of what I wanted to get and what I wanted to bring to the other women that were feeling the same way as me. And because I didn't have a voice early on, I was really good with my writing skills. I developed them. So I worked on a letter to him for about 3 months. And I accompanied it with a 3 or 4 page report. And what we did is we did a survey of the women in our prison, about 2,500 women, and how many people were mothers, how many suffered abuse, how many grew up in poverty and neglect, and how many struggled with self-esteem. And the statistics were 79% of the entire prison. And I sent that report. I did a detailed report and sent it to him along with a letter explaining that this was a need that had to be addressed. And I didn't know if he was willing to or what it looked like to him, but I was begging for help for us.
That's incredible. That's incredible. It was just like a call into the universe, because it not only summoned him, but it summoned all of the hundreds of volunteers that have, for the past 19 years have been doing this work.
But there is another part of this story. So I would like to give Jack Canfield huge credit, because reading Chicken Soup for the Soul books is what taught me about self-esteem and taught me about people who volunteer and do the work. Because in the back of the book, he has everybody listed in their professions. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. But my speaker, I read about W. Mitchell in the book. And W. Mitchell was my first motivational speaker that came into Valley State Prison before Freedom to Choose came. And the common misconception there is he is the person I wrote from Chicken Soup for the Soul. So I actually had Krista Buckner, Mark Tucker, and W. Mitchell all come to the prison and speak and share from Chicken Soup for the Soul. So I had 3 speakers actually show up before Freedom to Choose.
That's incredible. Isn't that something? Wow,
Yes.
Jack's been up to this work for so long, and I just love him. He's from Chicago. He taught in the South Side of Chicago, and I just love it. We went to Awaken World together, part of 250 peacemakers and we spent time at the Pope Summer Retreat. And on one particular day, everybody wanted to go to Rome, and so they were getting on the bus going to Rome. And Jack said, I think I'm going to stay behind. I got some writing to do. And I said, I'm staying there with Jack. So I hung out. We had lunch together, broke bread, and I just really bonded with him, positive projection, I love what he.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
He's actually the one of the pieces to the very start of my journey. If it hadn't been for those books, I wouldn't have found what self-esteem was, or even known that it was an option for us.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's so incredible. And James, I'm curious about your path. What was it that inspired you? Mentioned that you had been on this path for 30 years. And I'm wondering, what was it that opened your heart to that path? Was it a book, an event? What insight led you to choose that path?
It's hard to say. I mean, I grew up, I just give you a little context. I now live in Cape Town, South Africa. I've been here for 15 years now. But before that, I was Canadian. I still am Canadian, but I lived in Canada in British Columbia. And I was born there actually. And I grew up on the West Coast in British Columbia. Uh, and my father bought he was a cook, and he bought a restaurant on the Queen Charlotte Islands. And we lived among the indigenous people there for 10 years. I was a child growing up there, spent my youth there. And when I was there, it was a very interesting scenario. My wife and I were discussing it, because we discuss racism a lot. And so it was a kind of an interesting situation because my father was first generation, was an immigrant from China. And then I was first born here in British Columbia. But then it was an interesting scenario because as immigrants, we were like kind of like we were the minority in Canada, And then when we went to this island and my dad bought a restaurant and we lived upstairs. Then the indigenous people somehow, some of them had this kind of anger towards us because we were now seen as almost like taking the colonialist position because we had the power, we had the restaurant, the ownership and everything. So it was a weird situation, a paradoxical one, because and part of that we kind of faced kind of reverse racism as well from not all the indigenous people, but sometimes in indigenous communities they don't hold their liquor very well. Their bodies aren't designed to hold that. And so some of them, when they get intoxicated, just have all this anger that comes out. So as a child growing up, I got to see a lot of that. We saw a lot of abuse. We had no liquor license, but they would smuggle alcohol in, and we had pool tables, so they would just drink and play pool, and then things would get out of hand. And so we would, as children growing up, we would be watching all this violence unfold, especially on payday. And I remember some paydays, there was fights that would break out, and the walls were covered in blood. The entire all four walls. It was just so bad, And my mother was threatened with huge knives, held to her throat. So all this kind of trauma that we encountered as children. And I think living in that kind of situation, and it wasn't their fault. We understood that they were the victims as well, but they were victimized, and some of them, like all this anger, they had all this bottled up anger. This is what I mean about the abuser and the abused, right? I think we got a perception of that at an early age. And so, but we were friends with a lot of the indigenous people as well. So it wasn't everyone, it's not black and white. So I think that taught me a lot as a child about abuse, about why is there all this pain in the world, and how do we handle this pain? Why are all these people so victimized, and then you see the anger that comes out of them, and there's this cycle that I think, Rhonda, you probably know, because working the prison system, you probably encounter the same thing, right? It's
Yes.
just a
Yes.
different flavor of the same thing, you know. I mean,
Mhm.
and I look at the politics, the polarization in the U.S. right now, and the Trumpians versus the quote the liberals. But
Mhm.
it's, you know, those are the people are just hurt on all sides, you know. And I think the politics is really like it's a red herring, you know. But we
Mhm.
aren't polarized like that, you know. So it's the
Mhm.
news media kind of blows it out of proportion. We're just ordinary people who've been hurt, you know. We just need to heal.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the common thread. Like, we've all been hurt, you know. And you sharing your story really brings home to me the power of transmuting poison into medicine. You know,
Mm,
I
yes.
grew up on the south side of Chicago, you know, and during a time when the gangs were my neighborhood, it was like Beirut, you know, it was
Mhm.
war, you know, and it wasn't even on the news. Like, nobody was talking about it, you know. People were so traumatized that it was normalized, you know. And so I just put the blinders on and, made it to Catholic school and made it home, walking through the war, that battlefield every day. And I never forgot what I saw. And I always thought, like, why? Why are people, hurting other people,
Mm,
Like, what, they forgot, how to be friendly, how to be kind, like how to care for people, and for themselves. And it put me on the path,
mhm.
uh, to being a peacemaker, But before it did that, I spent 20 years howling at the moon, you know. I,
Yeah.
and I got sober 36 years ago, and it started like my new life, But I understand now, how trauma can show up in a person's life and then take them off the path,
I think we're always being traumatized, even now. Like if, like everyone here on this microcosm of a world, if we go outside after this conversation or tomorrow, and we drive a car or take a bus and go down the street, you're going to encounter a homeless person. You're going to encounter somebody on the street who needs money. You know, we can't help everyone. Like the government, that's their job and it's society's job. But we as individuals, it makes us, it's like continually conditioning this alienation us because we can't help everyone, you know. So you feel
Mhm.
helpless. It creates a sense of helplessness when you see street beggars in every corner. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm trying to just create like why I want to like cook my own food so that I can just bring it out so I have something to give them that's healthy, you know, something I
Hmm.
can give them, that I can nurture them,
Yeah,
give them a smile, you know. But
yeah.
it's this the uncaring that's so ubiquitous all around the world, and it's just everywhere, and you just confront it every moment. It can really test you, you know, and
Hmm.
challenge you.
I really
Yeah.
believe that's why this work is so important, right? Because we want to address the people that are hurting and uncaring, and we want to show them that they're valuable, worthy, loving
Right.
human beings, and that the change is inside of them. And I relate to what you're saying so much. I just had a visit 2 weeks ago to the juvenile hall system.
Mm.
And I got to go inside and talk to the lady that was the head of the juvenile facility. And I heard the stories about the children that are in there and how they're suffering. And it really, I really felt like people are hurting so bad. And there's
Mhm.
so much damage and destruction with our children and our younger generation. And I really love that saying, be the change you wish to see in the world. Show
Mhm.
up. You might not be able to help everybody in the world, but be a voice for the kids that are abused or living behind bars or living in poverty, that you might be the only meal they get. You might be the only help they get. You might be the only person who shows up for them.
Mhm.
But if we could be the change and heal one person or give one person the tools to heal themselves, actually, and do the work, and to say, you know, we know you're hurting, we know that you're broken, but you are a worthy, valuable human being that deserves love, respect, and kindness. And we're going to show you how to love and respect and show kindness to yourself. So in turn, you could show it to the world, and we could heal, and we could all collectively start being the change that we want to see in the world, to where the balance can shift. It could shift from being a hurting, callous, cold world to being a more inclusive, loving, kinder world if we just continue to show up and we continue to live by example and give the homeless, you know, a food, prepare a dish for one person, because then that person knows that they were loved enough that somebody fed them that day. And that is huge, because we don't know what small seeds our acts of kindness plant, but we do know that it changes the world, because we've seen it. We've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. My life is a living example of it. I turned my entire life around. I went to prison with a life plus 38-year sentence, and I wasn't supposed to ever come home. And now I'm home. I'm a good mom. I'm a role model to my community. It's change. It's healing change, and nobody will ever get hurt at my hands again. So, absolutely.
That's a powerful testimony. And that's one person, and the impact that has happened. For 19 years, we've been going in, impacting the lives of literally thousands of people, right? Seeing them take the poison and turn it into medicine. And then they come out and do the work, right? The one guy, Michael, that's on our board now, right? He's going back into Valley State, taking the cops. You know, he's taking law enforcement into the prison, right? I can think of so many others, you know, that are doing this work.
I just want to reiterate that my crime was attempted murder on half of my police department. I had a high-speed chase and a shootout with the police. And the fact that I came home from prison in March, I'm still on parole, and 2 weeks ago, I walked into a juvenile facility and sat down with the head probation officer. And that is huge. That is huge change. The fact that I went from a place of us versus them to a place of now feeling inclusive and feeling like I want to be a part of the change. I want to make sure that another little girl doesn't have to grow up feeling like she's so different, that is so that she has to live her life hateful and callous just to protect herself. I want her to live her life loving and open and feeling inclusive in the community. And I'm so happy that police officers are going back into prison and are going into prison and doing this work as well, because that's what we need. We need to bridge that gap to where the culture of it's us versus them, and somehow they're bad and somehow they're out to get us, is completely distorted, because these are public servants putting their life on the line to protect us and help us. And they're the greatest example of loving kindness in our community, because they're our protectors. And how could we not honor that?
I know. And you know, they're going through trauma like they're human beings. They're not, you know, they're not robots, you know. We really have to understand that they're human beings and that they experience a lot of trauma. I used to sponsor a guy, right, that was law enforcement. And the stuff that he experienced on his job just broke his heart in two. He couldn't stay sober because he couldn't deal with the trauma, you know? And he had such a big heart. He went in because he wanted to make a difference, you know? When he was a little kid, he looked up to the police, and he wanted to be that one that he looked up to. He wanted little kids to look up to him, you know? But what you talked about really awakened in me the fact that when I was little, and I think all of us are like this, I believed that anything was possible. You know, I saw a gang one time. They were attacking this guy outside my building. And my aunt was taking me up on 63rd Street. And I was like, Mama, we got to stop them. They hurting him. They hurting that man. And my auntie said, oh, boy, that ain't none of our business. Come on. And she just dragged me along. And I was just like, but wait, we could stop them, Mama. We could do something. And I made up my mind that day. I said, one day I'm going to do something. I'm going to help people to realize, don't do that. That's not right. You know, you should be helping people, you know? And like today, I got a chance to do that in my life, you know, to help people. And this was a dream from when I was a kid, you know? And who would have thought that we could take a prison, you know, take a prison project, you know, and then unleash it to the world, you know, and show this works in the boardroom. It works in nonprofits. It works in livingcities.earth. It works in cities, you know, city government. Because
really
it's about, yeah, because it's about bringing people together, you know, in a way in which I'm going to make up that we're all longing to belong to each other, you know. That's part of the trauma, the pain. You know, James, you were talking about, you know, how that hurt, everybody's hurt, you know. Part of that hurt is that we're longing to belong, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and we
you just created
you
just created a new meme, long to belong.
Yeah, you know, and we are longing to belong. You know, we want to belong to each other, you know. And I'm going to say this, okay? I grew up in a neighborhood and we had neighbors like you know, somebody you knew the neighbor, right? We helped the neighbor, we talked to the neighbor, we shoveled their snow, raked their leaves, you know? And like now, since we got the Zoom and the World Wide Web, our network neighborhood has extended to the global neighborhood, you know? So you're in Cape Town, you know, we got some folks that are in Paris. We got people from all over the planet on our call today, you know? And it just shows that our neighborhood now is global. You know? We can make a difference, yeah.
I just pick up on something you said, Michael. You said about your story about your mom dragging you away because she was afraid and for you and her.
Yeah.
But I think there's an interesting dynamic there. I think you see in the organization that I've co-founded, Stop, Reset, Go, we've developed a praxis called Deep Humanity. And Deep Humanity came about, I don't know if you know Ferial. Ferial works closely
I know
with me.
Ferial, yeah.
So she's been doing Stop, Reset, Go workshops for the last few years, trialing them, seeing how to fine tune them. But Deep Humanity is kind of trying to take the best of the best, trying to take the best from all the religions, all the spiritual practices, all the non-spiritual practices, all the science, everything, the community, and like an open source kind of repository for the best practices of humanity. And it's something we can just keep contributing to, you know. And we can reach consensus like, okay, I have a new idea. This has worked in my community. Will this work for everyone? So we throw it in there and we try it, right? So the whole idea of Deep Humanity is we have our humanity, but the humanity, we've always said, where is your humanity? Our humanity's been around, but it's the reason why we coined the word deep humanity is because it's like humanity, it seems not to be sufficient right now at this time of polycrisis. So we have to go quite deep within our humanity to discover what it is to be human again. And so so when you talked about your mom and your childhood experience, it made me think how, like with the Stop, Reset, Go kind of meme that we've developed, it's kind of a three-step process for actually the evolution of consciousness, the pro-social, pro-environmental evolution of consciousness, of tracing that. So it's a very simple technique using the three colors of the traffic light, but applying that, anybody can apply it. So like a elementary school kids can apply it, for instance, right? They can use this to say, what's wrong with the situation I'm in right now? You know, I'm trying to achieve some goal, but there's an unintended consequence. So So first thing is to stop, notice and stop. And then the reset part is like, what do I have to reset? What do I have to recalibrate? What has to change so that I can decouple the unintended harm with the benefits, right? And so you test it out and you try it out. If it works, then you scale it, you implement it, you go. So that's kind of a quick summary of what Start, Reset, Go is. But you can, the beauty of it is you can apply this and create a very complex map of any kind of situation that's causing harm. So for instance, you could look at your situation with your mom and you can say, okay, your mom, she's performing some behavior to take you away from this perceived danger. But she's doing that out of the kindness of her heart because she loves you. Right. So she's acting out of love for you. Right. So the population that she's concerned about is quite small. It's her and you in this context, right? But now you, as a child, you said, "Oh, somebody's being beat up over there." Now your heart, you expanded your heart. Your population of love extended beyond your mom's, right? But it's like nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Right? You just had different perspectives, right? So with the Stop, Reset, Go kind of methodology, you can kind of tease all these complexities out and map them out, and you can start to see all the different perspectives and how the actions flow out of those perspectives. And you see that, oh, no, you start to understand, like, when you guys were talking about the police and how they're doing such a immense service for our society. But then if you look at the Black Lives Matter and how that erupted, their perspective is the police as the enemy, right? So why do we have all these different perspectives? So having this kind of mapping to map out everyone's perspectives is really valuable, because then you can now empathize with the other being. You say, I can see myself in that person, right? But because we don't actually know what it's like to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, we always make these prejudice kind of judgments on the other person. Then we get it all wrong. Then we get angry, based on those preconceptions.
Right. And what you're describing is freedom to choose, right? This is exactly the work that we do, right? It's not called Stop, Reset, Go. We got different language for it.
Different words, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same process though, And I just realized who you are as a co-founder of Living Cities, that you are Ferial's friend. And
yes, that's me.
Yeah, she's been raving about you. I'm so glad that we got a chance to connect, because I had an intention to meet you, and boom, there you go. We got a chance to trio together.
There you go.
Wonderful. Well, we've had a great trio. This has been very powerful. I have really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I just want to say, Rhonda, that you hold such a powerful light, and that you hold the medicine for those juveniles, that are in the pipeline. You have the medicine for them, and so I acknowledge you for that. Now, folks are coming back in the room now, and we're going to take a few minutes for some large group sharing. We want to hear about what that experience was like for you in the trio process. So I want to open up the floor for some sharing, some large group sharing. So please raise your hand, and when you share, please start with your name. So if you could just raise your electronic hand, anyone, not everyone, but anyone, because we'd like to hear what happened. What did you experience? I hear the wheels are turning. People are like, what was that? What happened? What was your experience of freedom to choose? Joan's got her hand up. Joan?
Can you hear me?
Hi, Joan. Yes, we can hear you fine.
Hi. I would say my experience would be framed in love and deep caring.
Powerful. I would agree. Thank you, Joan. Thank you very much. And then Lauren's hand was up. Lauren?
Yeah, so I think my experience was I really enjoyed the experience of confirming understanding, because I think quite often I listen and I think I've got it and I don't confirm understanding. And I really made the effort to do that. So I liked it. And I liked when I was told, yeah, you know, you get what I'm saying. And I could tell that the person was very appreciative of that. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for the
joining
practice is what I should say. Appreciate it.
us.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. Indeed. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Raji. Rajita. Yes.
Yes, it was wonderful because we were from three corners of the world, and it was beautiful to see that because of the way the questions were formatted as different worlds, ages, and everything, it brings back to the similar backbone source thing of the inner issues we all have, which is emotions and how we view things. And it's interesting that depending on whether we've already worked on the topic, know about it or not, how going through the before and after held like this makes a change. Like there is a softening on the acceptance part that happens. And also I felt very touched and in connection very quickly with the two other women with whom I was because of this sharing. I felt like hugging them. It was very heartwarming.
Awesome. And so I'm curious. So we have this framed as a leadership development skill, as an opportunity for leaders to develop more connection. What are your thoughts about bringing this into our Living Cities co-founders environment and using this as a way to get to know one another?
Oh, I believe it's just a wonderful way for people to get to know one another that should be done in all spheres. I think even people before having a financial meeting or even a debate before a vote of like left or right should have that with each other, because it brings back the humanness, that, you know, the compassion, the similarity. And I believe we all forget, you know, that we are just all one big family interbeing and doing our best. And it's so beautiful. This exercise just helps us shift ourselves to see like that horrible person is actually doing its best with their pain and thing. And like, you know, they also need the same grace and compassion we want for ourselves. So it's a beautiful way to make it accessible to everyone. And also to connect on real human places, you know, and that we all.
Yes, I stole a term from one of our co-founders, Eric Kohner, who he coined the phrase "longing to belong." That we're all longing to belong to one another, you know. And you know, my sense is that when leaders have that sense of belonging, that they're connected to each other, that, you know, we interact a lot differently.
Absolutely. Well, in the Living Cities Earth, we talk about like humaning well. And these are the tools to help us human well together. You know, it's about humaning well together for aliveness. So when we come through this deeper sense of first go and and then work it out, it brings it back to aliveness, to this tender grace and compassion that we're all capable of.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much. We certainly appreciate you participating with us today.
It was wonderful, and it was wonderful to meet all of you. And thank you, Rhonda. You also touched my heart deeply.
Thank you. It's wonderful to meet you too.
Yeah, we look forward to doing more trios together. Indeed. We've got a few more moments. Is there anyone else that would like to put their voice in the room?
Oh, I'll go.
Yeah, Deborah Glick.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Mike. You know, I had absolutely no idea what this webinar was about, but I realized that somebody sent me here. And I have to say, I just found this so transformative. And realizing that, you know, a lot of our own issues really are mainly in our head. And we have to become conscious of them and work to dispel them. I had a great trio and it was just wonderful. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And thank you for your inspiration. The work that you do in Africa has inspired me for years. And really, you launched a mission. It's why I'm doing the work in Guinea-Bissau now, because watching your example, so thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Reverend
much.
Mike. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Indeed. Got your back.
Yeah.
All right. A couple more minutes. Is there anyone else? Forrest, we got to hear something from you.
Good. As you may know, I'm the very new executive director at the Freedom to Choose project. So this was my first trio, and I found it to be surprisingly logical, the flow of it. And by logical, I mean the way that it moves you up the emotional scale in your internal emotional and mental responses to the world and to other people. So I really appreciated that, both observing it in the people who were in my group, but I also noticed that I came to a new self-awareness that the individual who I had practiced my process on, the person in my life who kind of bothers me sometimes, I realized how free I could be right now from my own internal resistance and reactivity, which is thoroughly unproductive in this relationship. And so it was pretty neat to see so clearly, this shift right now. And it can be a new practice. Maybe I won't do it, and then maybe it won't be permanent forever, but I know that I can practice it again and again and just keep practicing, and that's how I can make it more permanent. Doing it once probably isn't going to last very long, but I can do it again and again until it becomes a new pattern. So I really appreciated that. Thank you, Mike, for this amazing event. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. This was so special.
Well, we appreciate you and all you've done to make this successful. Thank you, Forrest.
Thank you.
And there was a hand up. Is your hand still up? Yes.
I wanted to add something that's quite meaningful that I forgot. That's first of all, of course, it's great. Practice makes mastery, and we need to just practice regularly because we forget. We react and come back. But what was really powerful as well is how when we really listen to others, how very different our culture, our world, our ages are. There is a lesson in that. She's talking about somebody, it reminds me of someone I know that, and so there's no accident. There's always this resonance. So it's actually we're getting three different facets of ourselves. So that was a super bonus that it's wonderful to also remember that we're not just passively listening, the others also us, because we all have someone that we may consciously or unconsciously be doing the same thing with. So powerful. And definitely we should do this regularly with every groups and in every language.
Yes. Well, that's my intention, to bring more of this to livingcities.earth, and also to take Freedom to Choose into all of the places that is just longing for us to show up, because what we know is that everybody on planet Earth is longing to belong. And Freedom to Choose has a wonderful process for bringing people together to belong to one another, to belong to the human race again. And so we can human well. And I want to honor your time. It has been just an amazing ride to be co-facilitating with Rhonda. I'm just amazed. Promise we will do more of this, so stay tuned. You can find out what Freedom to Choose Project is up to at our website, freedomtochooseproject.org. Also, livingcities.earth. You can go there and find out what we're doing for the Happy Cities Marathon. There's a Peace Day event going on right now, a panel right after this, celebrating International Peace Day tomorrow, the 21st. There's a Connectathon coming up on the 23rd, and I think Maji might be a part of that. Ferial is and Alice are doing. I mean, we're up to so much. There's a wonderful buzz taking place on the planet, and we're all a part of it. So we want to thank all of you. Rhonda, anything you want to say in closing?
Absolutely. I just want to thank everybody for coming and showing up. It's been a pleasure. And I'm so grateful to have been here today. Thank you.
It's just wonderful. So we want to return your day back to you. Thank you, James. Also, so good to connect with you finally, and we'll be talking more. So for everyone, have a wonderful, fantastic day. And yeah, until next time.
Thank you,
Bye
everybody.
for now.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you
Great
all.
job, Rhonda. Great job, everybody.
Yeah, great
Thank you,
job,
Rhonda.
Rhonda.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Marsha.
you, John.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Purity.
Susan. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you, family. Many blessings. Okay, so how do we stop the recording? We're live. Let's see. I think we have to call because we're live. I think we're. Oh, who's this? Oh, this is Freedom to Choose calling. Hi, we're just getting off the live stream.
Oh, you're still on?
Yeah. Hold on for just a second. Let me figure out how to close this live stream down. Okay. All right. Bye. That was Forrest calling me. Okay. So I think we're done. I guess we just shut it down and the live stream will automatically stop. This has been history in the making. You rocked, Susan. You rocked it. We pulled a rabbit.
On the last trio, I think we did one of them twice because I was so engrossed in listening to your guys' conversation.
Great. It's perfect. It was perfect.
All right.
I love you guys. So we'll debrief a little later.
Okay.
Okay.
And Rhonda, I am going to look for somebody with deep pockets to take us into juvenile hall. It's done. Somebody's going to do it. I'm going out begging.